Appreciated. Senator Walsh, are you seeking the call?
I am. Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much, Dr. Marshall, for your opening statement. In September, the Geelong Advertiser reported that CSIRO is planning on ending carbon fibre research at Warn Ponds. Why has that decision been taken?
Senator, some years ago, CSIRO tried to take the impact on carbon fibre, and there were really three key things that we wanted to do. Unfortunately, Australia doesn't have a natural advantage in the carbon fibre industry, so we tried to use science to create one. We succeeded in one of the three things we were trying to do, which was to crack the code of how to manufacture carbon fibre. Most countries have a kind of a secret sauce, a secret recipe, but Australia didn't, so we invented one. Unfortunately, we were unable to significantly reduce the cost to give Australian industry an advantage or significantly improve the qualities, particularly the strength of the carbon fibre. And without those advantages, we frankly could not convince ourselves that we could give Australia a competitive advantage there. However, CSIRO's work in partnership with Deakin did manage to create a couple of companies like Carbon Revolution and Quickstep that benefit from that, but not so much from the material itself, but rather the design skills that the company created. So unfortunately, we were not able to convince ourselves that we could give an unfair advantage, turn that commodity into something really unique that would give industry an advantage. And that, for that reason, we're shifting resources to focus on other areas that we think have a better chance of giving Australia an unfair advantage.
Thank you very much for that explanation. What do you think the implications of that assessment that you made and that decision are for the future of carbon fibre research in Australia?
Oh, Senator, as you may know, we consult quite extensively on these matters. We think the future of carbon fibre research will be primarily in the design end and not so much in the materials end. And that's certainly the area that business is focused on.
The design end, not the materials end, was that what you said?
Yes.
Sorry? Yep.
Yes, sir.
And just in relation to the Warn Ponds facility, I'm not sure how many people work there, but I think this change results in 20 redundancies. What does that mean for the future of the Warn Ponds CSIRO site?
Well, Senator, our primary concern at this point, given the recovery from COVID, is to figure out where we can put our resources, which are finite. Where can we put our resources to give the greatest impact for Australia's recovery from COVID? And a big piece of that is trying to create some new industries, as we talked before about trying to create a hydrogen industry. So the first decision is, where do we put the resources? The second decision, which is the one you're asking about, the sites, that follows from the first decision. So we're still in the process of evaluating what will happen with that site.
How many people are currently employed at Warn Ponds CSIRO?
Senator, I might help with that.
Thanks.
Judy Zelke, Chief Operating Officer of CSIRO. There are currently around 20 staff at Warn Ponds. Not all of them are working on carbon fibre. Some of them are working in other areas, along with people who, for example, manage the facility, etc. in that regard. Not all people will take redundancies. Some will move to other facilities in that regard as well, and some of our staff will consider whether there's another position for them or whether they would like to take redundancy.
Okay, thank you. So that figure of 20 scientists being made redundant at Warn Ponds is not correct or not finalised yet?
It takes time for us to consult with staff, have them take a look at other positions that might become available. Our first position is to see whether there's another role that they can move into in relation to other activities that we're starting anew, noting that there are a number of new areas we're moving into as well as a result of those decisions. Once they've considered those, they can decide whether there's an opportunity for them elsewhere, or if they'd like to take a redundancy in that regard.
Yeah.
It can take quite some time to do that. Not all positions instantly become unavailable. Often there is work still underway and we wait for that to be concluded.
Yeah, thank you. And it's obviously a very difficult thing to go through that sort of process and understand we don't want to talk about sort of individual circumstances there. But it seems that there are nonetheless sort of 20 people who think that as a result of this process that they're in a redundancy process. And I just want to sort of clarify that I guess there've been 20 people who've been sort of notified that there's a beginning of a process at the end of which they may be made redundant or there may be alternative employment available.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And therefore supported through that, depending on,
Yeah.
you know, it's not a good time.